Out here in Oklahoma, Route 66 stretches wide and steady through towns that are still holding on and others the world left behind. I'm Big Mike with Route 66 Road Relics, and this isn't a rush to some big city. It's a ride through stories told in brick, rust, and the soft hum of the road beneath your wheels. Come along as we explore the Mother Road through Oklahoma. So follow me and let's head west. Our ride through Oklahoma's stretch of Route 66 starts here in Miami, a town that holds right to its past and lets you feel it in the brick, the breeze, and the way folks wave when you drive by. Right at the heart of the town stands the Coleman Theater, opened in 1929, just before the country fell into hard times of the Great Depression. Spanish styled outside and red velvet and gold inside, it opened back when movies were just learning to talk. Some folks still preferred them quiet, but Coleman gave them both live shows and silver screens, all under one gilded roof. It even had its own mighty Wurlitzer organ. They lost it for a while, but brought it back home in '96, restored and ready. And when they play it now, it sounds like time never left. Just a little further down the road, there's a place with a different kind of legend, Wayland's Cuckoo Burger. Back in the '60s, this was part of a chain, but now it's the last one left. The burgers are fresh off the grill, and the folks behind the counter still treat you like family. Roll on west, and you'll pass under the Route 66 Gateway Arch, a sign that you're not just on a highway, you're riding through history. The murals in the town help tell the rest. Painted right on old brick walls, they show off Route 66 pride and pieces of a story that never left. And tucked near Main Street, there's an old garage, R&M Motor. No pumps out front anymore, but those roll-up doors with the window panes, they still look like they're ready to take in a Studebaker. It's still in business, but it has the bones of a different time. Miami doesn't just put on a show, it doesn't have to. Out here, the past is still part of the present. West of Miami, the road starts feeling a little more open and a little more quiet. That's when you know you're rolling into Afton, Oklahoma. First thing you'll notice is the Rest Haven Motel sign. Rusted frame, letters worn thin by time, but it's still standing like it's waiting on one last family road trip to pull over for the night. Just down the way is the Cross Star Museum, and you'll know you're here when you see it. Front ends from old trucks painted in every color of the rainbow. Folks from around the world have signed their names on them, leaving them with marks of this old highway. And there's a rainbow dog made of scrap metal, a tree full of bottles and trinkets, a skeleton on a scooter like he's looking ready for the parade. Step inside and it's part garage, part art show, neon signs, pirate hot rod, and chrome from every decade. No velvet ropes, no fancy plaques, just stories told in grease, grit, and good humor. Back outside, the water tower raises from the rooftops, tall and silver, like it's still watching over the town the way it always has. And just before the last bend out of town, you'll see the Avon Motel, built in 1936, and now just walls and wild grass. But if you slow down, you'll feel it. The hum of the old engines pulling in, kids stretching their legs in the glow of the neons promising rest. Veneta, Oklahoma, one of the oldest towns on the Mother Road, and a place where Route 66 still runs thick through the town's veins. You don't have to look hard to see it. The stories are painted on brick, parked under the sun. It's standing tall in fiberglass and neon. Downtown, there's a mural stretched across a turquoise wall, a tribute to Veneta's long history. It tells of the cattle drives, Indian territory, steam engines, rodeos, and the ever-present Route 66 shield. It's the kind of wall that makes you stop and read, even if you're just passing through. Right there in the middle of Main Street, painted bold on the pavement, is a black and white Route 66 highway shield. It's not just a road marker, it's a statement. But just west of town is where I spent most of my time, at a place that might be the beating heart of the stretch of Route 66, the Highway Cafe. You know it when you see it. A big red and blue neon sign reaches up over the highway, standing proud like it's been there since the golden days of road travel. And right out front, there's a full-size muffler man named Big Bill. He's holding a Route 66 plate, and keeping watch like the guardian of the cafe. The building itself is covered in murals, from classic cars to pickup trucks to Route 66 signs as big as life. One of them's even got an old Dodge truck painted right on the side of the wall, headlights full of charm, and a license plate that reads Highway Cafe. It don't get much better than that. Parked outside is a weathered Rambler covered in traveling stickers like it's been collecting stories from every state. It doesn't move, but it still travels right into your memory. Every corner of this place tells a piece of the highway story. Inside, it's the comfortable food done right: chicken fried steak, burgers, pie, all the things that make you feel at home, even when you're 100 miles from it. The folks here take pride in what they serve, and they treat strangers like regular. Now, right next door is something you don't expect, but you're sure glad it's there. The Western Motel still welcomes travelers just like it did decades ago, and standing out front, taller than the building itself, is a statue of a Native American chief with his hand raised in welcome. It's a bold, respectful, and unforgettable. Like a lot of Route 66, it might catch you off guard, but it won't leave your mind anytime soon. West of Veneta, the road settles into Chelsea, Oklahoma. A quiet town that still holds tight to a piece of the mother road. It may not scream for attention, but it speaks to those who will listen. Right off the highway, you'll find a bright mural painted across the side of a building, a tribute in color to what makes Chelsea matter. It shows the Pryor Creek Bridge, the old BS Stop Cafe, the underpass, and the Route 66 shield, all laid across the paint like a hometown postcard. A red GMC dump truck parked beside it like it never left. Just another piece of the past still hanging on. Then there's the Pryor Creek Bridge, built in 1926, the very year Route 66 was born. It's a narrow steel truss, rough around the edges and wrapped in trees now, but it's still holding on. It only carried highway traffic for a few years, but it's a living piece of the early road. And if you walk across it slow, you can almost hear the wheels that came before you. The Chelsea Motel is another stop that has seen better days. And I've got the footage to show it. Built in the 1930s, it had 6 rooms and a glowing neon sign once upon a time. These days it's closed up tight, windows dark, the lot overgrown, but the bones are still there. The old sign out front marking its spot. The kind of place where a tired traveler might have dropped their keys on the nightstand, pulled the curtain shut, and fell asleep to the sound of the distant trucks on the highway. And just a short drive from Chelsea, close enough to count, is something that don't fit into the neat category: Ed Galloway's Totem Pole Park. The centerpiece is a 90-foot tall concrete totem pole, hand-built and hand-painted and covered in bold colors and carved faces. Galloway made it as a tribute to the Native American culture, and it didn't stop there. There are other totems scattered around the grounds and picnic tables carved into sculptures that make the whole place feel like something out of a dream. It may not be the busiest stop on Route 66, but it's one folks remember, and the kind of place where you just really can't explain until you've actually seen it for yourself. Chelsea's not flashy, but it's got a bridge that tells the truth, a motel that remembers what it was, and a park full of one man's passion built in concrete and color. And on Route 66, that's the kind of stop worth making. Out in Catoosa, Oklahoma, right off of Route 66, there's a giant blue whale sitting in a spring-fed pond, and it's smiling like it's glad you came. This isn't just a roadside stop, it's a love story. Back in the early 70s, Hugh Davis, a former zoo worker, wanted to build something special for his wife Zelda. She collected little whale figurines. So Hugh went big. With the help of a friend, he welded a steel frame and poured concrete by hand, one bucket at a time. It took over 2 years, and in 1972, he gave her the blue whale of Catoosa for their anniversary gift. Word got out, and travelers started pulling in, so Hugh and Zelda opened the place up. They called it Nature's Acres, a roadside picnic spot where kids swam and slid off the tail and laughed under the sun. Nearby, Hugh built a wooden ark, and across the road, the Arrowwood Trading Post sold native jewelry and crafts run by Hugh's brother-in-law, Chief Wolf Robe Hunt. Now, years later, we're still stopping by, and if you've never been inside the whale, come on, let's go. You walk across entrance, step through a big open mouth, and you're in the belly of the beast. The floor is smooth concrete, lit by the round portals on each side, and you'll see a little slide that back in the days kids slid down to get into the water. You can still see the old steel bones in the walls. Walk a little further and you'll find a ladder. You're in the head looking around, and a little further on, what do we see but the tail out in the open deck? Just amazing. It's a part sculpture, part playground, and full of good memories. And by the late 80s, health issues shut things down. Hugh passed in the 90s, and Zelda a few years later. And for a while, the whale faded. But then the locals stepped in, volunteers repainted it, cleaned it up, and brought it back to life. A gift shop opened right on the site. In 2020, the city of Catoosa bought the land and started making improvements for future visitors. Not far down the road, you'll also find the old twin bridges, one built in 1936 and the other in 1957. They once carried Route 66 traffic across the Vergus River, but it's the blue whale that's bringing the people in. It wasn't built for money, it wasn't built for fame, it was built for love, and it's still doing what we made it to do, making people smile on the Mother Road. Rolling into Chandler, Oklahoma, you don't have to look far to find what sets this place apart. Just off the highway sits the Route 66 bowl, and right out in front is a collection of vintage gas and oil signs that'll make any road tripper pull over. Phillips 66, Derby, Sinclair, Shamrock, Lion. These signs aren't rusted relics leaning in the weeds. They're clean, tall, and proudly displayed like roadside trophies, standing against the Oklahoma sky with the stories baked into their enamel. It's like walking through an outdoor museum. No velvet ropes, no tour guide. Just you, your camera, and the remainder of a golden days when gas was cheap and road maps were made of paper, and stations like these kept the country moving. Arcadia, Oklahoma, one of those quiet little towns where Route 66 still feels like home. The big draw here is the round barn, built back in 1898, perfectly round, made from native bur oak and still standing proud after all these years. And just down the road is Pop 66, a modern stop with a throwback soul, part diner, part soda shop, and lit up like a neon dream at night. Out front stands a 66-foot tall glowing soda bottle, changing colors and lighting up the Oklahoma sky. If you're driving through after dark, it's the kind of place that makes you slow down just to watch it shine. Lucille's legacy in a junkyard full of road relics. Hydro, Oklahoma. It may be a quiet little town these days, but Route 66 runs like it through a vein of history. And right off the old highway sits one of the most iconic landmarks, Lucille's historic highway gas station, also known as the Provine Service Station. Built in 1929, it's a two-story station with living quarters right above. Designed built for practicality and pride. You lived where you worked, and you looked after folks coming through. In 1941, Lucy Hammonds took over, and she ran that station for nearly 60 years. Folks called her the mother of the Mother Road, and not just because she pumped gas. She ran it like a little roadside cafe, serving sandwiches, candy, cold pop, and some of the friendliest service on the highway. They say she had the coldest drinks in the whole state, and I believe it. It wasn't fancy, but it didn't need to be. Lucille's made sure you left with a full tank, a little food in your belly, and a feeling that someone cared. Even after the interstate pulled the traffic away, she kept that place open. That kind of heart is what made Route 66 what it was. Today, the station doesn't sell fuel anymore, but it's been restored and preserved. Vintage pumps out front, historical marker by the door, and a quiet kind of pride that stands strong in the Oklahoma wind. Now, just a few miles across the freeway, there's another kind of treasure, Rustbusters Recycling. This isn't just a junkyard. This is a field full of road relics. It's big, real big. Rows of old trucks, coupes, wagons, sedans spread out across the land, and each one with its own story to tell. You'll find everything from faded chrome to cracked windshields, and if you stop and look closely, you'll see the years written all over them. These cars and trucks are the history of the Mother Road. Every one of them traveled somewhere, carried someone, meant something. from farm trucks that hauled hay to old sedans that might have taken a family west. These machines once moved with purpose, now they rest, but they're still speaking, if you're willing to listen. I love this kind of place. I always have. These aren't just parts, they're the living past of US Highway 66. Some are stripped down to the frame, others still have license plates and worn tires. It's like stepping into a gallery where every piece is rough around the edges, but full of life. Hydro may not be a major stop on the map, but between Lucille's legendary cafe-style station and this incredible stretch of the classic iron, it holds the kind of soul that built the Mother Road. And if you're traveling Route 66 to find the past, this is one place that you don't want to miss. Clinton, Oklahoma, memories preserved and memories fading. Rolling into Clinton, Oklahoma, you'll find one of the best places on the Mother Road to step back in time, the Oklahoma Route 66 Museum. It's not just displays and signs. This place is an experience. A walk through every decade of the Mother Road, from the dust of the 1930s to the chrome of the 50s. The museum takes you through it all. Classic cars, diner booths, gas pumps, and even the sound of the road follows you from room to room. It's the kind of stop that helps you feel what the journey used to be, not just see it. And same as it did back when the stations and motels lined this highway from end to end. But not everything in Clinton made it to the museum. Just drive down the road, the old Glancy Motor Hotel, a mid-century classic that used to welcome drivers with its bold roof line and glowing sign. I was lucky enough to catch it on camera before it was torn down. Today, all that was left is the sign, still standing, a little faded, a little lonely and missing a letter, but still hanging on. I like to show you both, what we're preserved and what we've lost, because that's what Route 66 is. It's the road we're on and one that already passed us by. Elk City, Oklahoma, a museum built for the Mother Road. Elk City. Now this one's got a museum that feels like it's a whole town in itself. Right off Route 66, it's the National Route 66 Museum. And it's not just a building with a few signs. It's a full-on complex with everything from classic cars and travel trailers to a recreated stretch of the old road dressed up by the way it used to be. They even got a 1950s style Main Street and an old schoolhouse and more than a few four-wheeled legends polished up and sitting proud. There's even a tribute to the folks who kept this country rolling, cowboys, truckers, and travelers with maps in the glove box and big dreams on the dash. Now, I didn't catch a ton of footage here, just enough to give you a feel for it, but even in a short visit, you'll get a sense of the histories behind the glass. It's not just about the highway, it's about the people who lived it. Elk City's museum shows you why this road still matters. It's not just looking back, it's about remembering how far we've come. Howdy folks, Big Mike here again, and today we're cruising through Erick, Oklahoma, right near the western edge of the state. Now this little town may not take up much space on the map, but it's packed with more personality and Mother Road magic than just about anywhere else. Soon as you roll in from the east, you'll met with a sight that'll make you ease off the gas. The Windmill Garden. Dozens of windmills turning in the breeze, with rusted old cars and trucks scattered around like roadside relics left behind by time. It's a strange, beautiful, and kind of welcomes you only a place like Erick can deliver. But if you really want to feel the soul of Erick, you've got to go to the Sand Hills Curiosity Shop. This isn't your typical souvenir stand. It's a one-of-a-kind collection of Route 66 treasures piled into the town's oldest brick building. The outside's covered in vintage signs, oddball decor, and inside, well, that's Harley Russell's domain. If he's around, you might get a guitar tune, a story, or a wild performance as part of the lesson, part comedy show. Now let's talk music. Roger Miller, the man who gave us the King of the Road, was born right here in Erick. The Roger Miller Museum may be closed now, but Erick keeps his memory alive with a vibrant mural downtown that captures his spirit perfectly. Larger than life, just like his music. And just outside of town, there's a place called Sam's Town, a folk art installation by photographer Samuel Hagen. It's filled with pieces of western Oklahoma's past, tools, signs, relics, laid out like a little outdoors gallery. It's quiet, thoughtful and a good spot to stretch your legs and take it all in. And then there's the West Wind Motel, built in 1948. It's no longer open for business, but the structure still stands with the roof, stucco walls, and the garage bays, and even an old sedan outside. Texola, the last stop in Oklahoma. Today we're rolling through Texola, Oklahoma, the last town before you cross into Texas on old Route 66. Not much moves out here these days, but if you listen close, this little town still has a story to tell. Right as you pull in, you'll spot one of Texola's most recognizable landmarks, the Magnolia Service Station, built in 1930. It's weathered and worn, but still standing proud. It's a little rough around the edges these days, sure, but that just adds to its charm. You can see the bones of what it once was, a dependable stop on the Mother Road, where travelers topped off the tank and maybe swapped a few stories while the wind rolled through the prairie. Just down the way is the one-room jail, built in 1910. It's about as small as a jail gets, just a brick cell with bars on the windows and doors. These days it's quiet, but it's still holding tight to its piece in the town's history. A little further up the road, you'll pass the Tumbleweed Grill and Water Hole. I didn't go inside, but the place still stands, Park Cafe, Park Country Store, and all Route 66. It's a good reminder that even in a quiet town, the spirit of the highway keeps hanging on. Texola is full of abandoned buildings, each one whispering its own piece of the past. Building with the town's unofficial motto painted across the wall, "There is no place like Texola." You can feel that truth in every board and brick. If you look close, you'll see that parts of the original 1930s Route 66 alignment, cracked pavement with a history all its own. Texola has a complicated story from the start. It's been surveyed 8 different times. Folks say sometimes they lived in Oklahoma and the next day in Texas, and they never had to move. It started growing back in 1901, and by 1930s it had hotels, cotton gin stores, an auditorium, and a whole lot of hope. But between the Dust Bowl, the Depression, and the revival of Interstate 40 and the traffic, and the people started moving on. These days it's quiet, but not forgotten. You drive through Texola and it's like stepping back into the last pages of a chapter. What's left might be lean, but it's strong. Folks are still trying to preserve what they can, and every cracked sign and crooked fence still carries the heart of the town. Texola might be the final stop on Oklahoma's stretch of Route 66, but it's also one of the most unforgettable. A place where the past hangs in the air and the road just keeps on going.